You know, every single project has them. Blind spots. These hidden risks that can totally blow up even the best laid plans. And one of the biggest blind spots? It's something we all think we're good at: communication. Today, we're going to look at a specific tool that's designed to find those cracks in communication before they turn into giant canyons.
So, let me ask you something. Are communication gaps silently, and I mean silently, derailing your project? This is the kind of question that keeps project managers up at night, right? Because so often, by the time you actually see the symptoms, the missed deadlines, the budget overruns, the endless rework, the real problem, that communication breakdown, has been festering for weeks, maybe even months.
And look, this isn't just a gut feeling or some nice corporate slogan. We're talking about decades of solid industry research that has drawn a crystal clear, undeniable line connecting the two. Effective communication isn't a nice-to-have skill. It's a fundamental pillar for delivering on time and on budget. The data on this is just overwhelming.
Okay, so we all agree it's critical. But how do you go from just talking about good communication to actually measuring and managing it? Well, that's where a specialized instrument comes into play.
This is the Compass tool. It was developed by the Construction Industry Institute, you'll hear them called CII, and it's basically a diagnostic tool. It's built for one specific purpose: to assess and actually quantify how well teams are communicating on those really complex projects in the built environment.
Now, what's really smart is how they designed this thing. The folks at CII knew it couldn't be some clunky academic process that no one has time for. It was built for busy, real-world professionals. So it had to be simple. It had to be low effort from an admin standpoint. But, and this is key, it still had to deliver real, quantifiable results. And maybe most importantly, it's not a one-and-done kind of thing. It's designed to track how you're doing over time, so you can see if your changes are actually making a difference.
And they didn't try to make it for everyone, no. Its focus is laser sharp, targeting the three core groups where communication is absolutely critical, and where, let's be honest, breakdowns can be catastrophic. We're talking project management, engineering, and construction teams.
All right, so we've got the what and the who, but what about the how? How does this tool take something as fuzzy as communication and turn it into cold, hard data? Let's get into the mechanics. The really key thing to understand here is that this is a cycle, not just a one-off survey. You kick things off with a baseline as soon as the team is put together. Then, of course, you survey the team and you analyze what you find. But the real power, the real magic, is in step 4, reassessing from time to time. This creates a feedback loop that lets you make continuous, data-driven improvements all the way through the project.
So what are you actually being asked? Well, the assessment itself is incredibly thorough. It asks standardized questions across 6 different categories to get a complete 360-degree view. And these aren't vague questions. They're digging into specific areas, like how clear the goals are, the level of trust, how information flows, meeting effectiveness, how you resolve issues, and even response times. This gives you this incredibly detailed map of exactly where you're strong and, more importantly, where you're weak.
And here's the beautiful part. All of that nuance, all that complex human interaction, it all gets boiled down to one simple, intuitive number: an effectiveness score from 0 to 10. Anybody, from the CEO to the person on site, can understand that in a second. Okay, so you have a number. Great. But that's just the start. The real power of the Compass tool is in turning that raw data into a meaningful diagnosis that you can actually use to make better decisions. In this right here, this is an absolute game changer for so many teams. The tool doesn't just spit out your score and say, "Good luck." It benchmarks you against the CII industry average. So imagine seeing that your project is scoring a 6.8 while the rest of the industry is averaging an 8.2. Wow, that's a powerful, objective wake-up call. It tells you exactly where you stand. And remember how we said it's a cycle? This is why that's so important. Because you're reassessing over time, you can start to track trends. You can actually see your progress. You can tell if those new things you tried in Q1 actually moved the needle by Q2. It's data that really holds you accountable.
At the end of the day, data is great. Diagnosis is interesting, but if it doesn't lead to action, what's the point? The whole goal of this entire process is to forge a real, concrete plan for getting better.
You know, it reminds me of this idea that diagnosis is the first step. The real goal is resolution. The Compass tool isn't the finish line. Think of it more like the map that shows you exactly where you need to focus your energy to solve the problem. And that is such a critical shift in thinking. These insights give you the hard evidence you need to stop guessing. You move away from just throwing generic communication training at the wall to see what sticks, and you start building a super-targeted action plan that goes right after the specific weaknesses the data uncovered.
And the best part is, you're not starting from a blank page. The tool's insights plug directly into a proven framework, the 8 key steps for effective communication. This gives you a road-tested path to follow. So, for example, if your scores on issue resolution are tanking, you can focus on step 4, which is all about establishing clear escalation paths. Or if meeting effectiveness is your problem, you jump right to step 6 and implement action-oriented agendas. The diagnostic tells you what's broken, and these steps give you the blueprint to fix it.
So, that leaves us with one final question to think about. If you could point this tool at your own project right now, what critical weakness, maybe the one that's lurking just out of sight, what do you think it would uncover for you?